Well, guys, continuing on with my year's Star Wars reviews, we're going to be looking at the brand new film, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker was directed by J.J. Abrams and stars Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, Adam Driver, Ian McDiarmid, among others, and is the final installment in the sequel trilogy, as well as the final installment in the Skywalker saga of 9 films that started all this time ago in 1977. Guys, this has been one of my most anticipated films of the year. In fact, it was the most anticipated film of this year. I absolutely love the sequel trilogy. I thought The Force Awakens was a breath of fresh air and was a great love letter to the original trilogy, and it brought some new things along the way that I thought were absolutely fantastic. I love the characters of Rey, Poe, and Finn, and especially Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, and I loved how that movie started this new trilogy. And The Last Jedi is a film I absolutely love, being one of my favorite Star Wars films of all time. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I love the themes that it brought and how it challenged me and made me think about Star Wars in a completely different light. And so I was really excited to see what JJ could bring to this film, and by what the trailers were saying, it seemed like we were in for something completely epic and a little bit familiar, and that's ultimately what we got here. Guys, at the end of the day, I've watched this movie twice already. I watched it twice, opening night, and I really enjoyed this film, guys. I think that some people are overreacting when they say this is the worst Star Wars film, and I think in many ways the film is a little disappointing, but I think there's still a lot here, and I'm going to be talking about that. Now, first off, I'm going to talk about a little bit of stuff that people have been discussing and saying that this film is basically disregarding everything that was brought to us in The Last Jedi. Now, it's more or less just developing those ideas or extending them, and there's certain things that they pick and choose from and develop in new and unique ways. Some work out very well, others don't exactly, and that's what a lot of this film is. It's a lot of stuff that does work and a lot of stuff that mostly doesn't really work. But the biggest positives I could say about this film are the actors themselves. Daisy Ridley brings it once again as Rey, playing this character that, yes, of course, is very powerful, but is still trying to find her way in this world. She has lost her father figures in this new trilogy. I'm talking about Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, and she's just been searching for a home this entire trilogy. And I think that's something that's really powerful that people aren't talking about. That's a story about a girl that is trying to find herself, trying to find deeper meaning in who she is, and I think that's a very powerful message that this film talks about a little bit and develops on, and I thought that was really incredible. I love the banter that we get between Rey, Poe, and Finn, and it's really incredible seeing these actors finally all together in a room working off of each other. I think their chemistry is absolutely infectious, especially with Rey and Finn, and of course Finn and Poe, and I love their dynamic with each other. I actually enjoyed the comedy in this film quite a bit, actually, and it's very strange because I have not been the biggest fan of the comedy in the sequel trilogy, especially with The Force Awakens, which developed some of the comedy in The Last Jedi. But I actually found the comedy actually really funny this time around, especially when it comes to C-3PO, which has some of my best moments in the film that I thought were absolutely incredible. And speaking of incredible, still the best character of this saga, the one I'm invested in the most, the one that has the most interesting story to tell is Kylo Ren, played excellently by Adam Driver, who brings so much depth to this character. I loved this character in The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi made me absolutely love this character, and I think JJ and Chris Terrio do a good job of developing this character even farther, going in new and different directions with him, and I of course love the connection that he and Rey have, and they develop on that in this film in some very interesting and flashy ways. The movie is an action-packed, crazy ride from beginning to end with so many set pieces, beautiful cinematography that is some of the best we've seen in Star Wars. I mean, these sequel trilogy films just keep looking better and better, and I think that's absolutely incredible that we can get a Star Wars film that really puts you in that world. I loved the grand epic scale of this film, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This story that is basically like a globe-trotting adventure without giving too much away. It's absolutely kind of really fun and really entertaining with some great lightsaber fights, some iconic imagery brought back to us in a fan servicey type of way, but it does suit the story overall, such as the grand epic fight that we've been seeing in all the trailers on the wreckage of Death Star 2, which is an old concept that was originally going to be in The Force Awakens. I'm glad it's brought here. It's absolutely fantastic, and there is an incredible moment in the middle of the film with Kylo Ren that is just... It's why I love these movies, and it's just absolutely incredible and brought me to tears, and it was absolutely fantastic. Also, I liked what they were able to do with the Carrie Fisher footage that they had available to us. Now, if you guys know, Carrie Fisher was not able to film anything for The Rise of Skywalker. She died very tragically after Rogue One came out. And so we didn't get her in this film. But what J.J. Abrams did was take footage that he didn't use in The Force Awakens with her and implement her in this film. And we get some kind of mixed results with it. For one, it's really good to see Carrie Fisher in this film, and it really hits you, you know, seeing she's here and she's actually gone. But it is really incredible, but you can tell that the dialogue between her and the people talking to her is very different, as like her dialogue is kind of repurposed to make sense within the context of this film when it's very clear it's from The Force Awakens. But I think they did a good job with what they had. It could have been better, but also it could have been a whole lot worse. And also, I need to say it that this film does some crazy things with some very interesting twists that are kind of a mixed bag at times, but there's also some great ones that are absolutely incredible, and honestly, I think really help in a way with tying this trilogy together, as people have noted that the sequel trilogy feels very disjointed and disconnected. There's some things in here that I think really help with connecting it together. The John Williams score is a wonderful mix of new, old themes, old nostalgia, and just a continuation of themes that were brought to us in The Force Awakens and brought to its full potential here. It really makes these scenes just very gratifying, satisfying, and wonderful and epic, and I love John Williams' score in this film and how it develops throughout the film as the themes go along. And also, I loved how dark this film got in a lot of places, especially with a very nightmare-fueled part of the film that is much like a horror film that I wasn't expecting at all. It was very entertaining. It was dark, it was funny, and it did a lot of things right, guys. Now, this film also doesn't do everything right. Now, there are things within this film that feel kind of ham-fisted in at the last minute. There's a lot of twists and turns throughout this film, things that aren't completely satisfying. There's no big twist in this film that is going to rock your world, except for maybe one or two, but I think it is just trying to please everybody, and it's not ultimately going to, but I think the attempt is there. I like what J.J. Abrams was trying to do. I just don't think he succeeded as well as he could have. This film, basically the biggest problem I have with this film is the pacing of the film. And this film is lightning fast, which J.J. Abrams is a really good director at making just an extremely fast-paced movie that is just a rush to watch. And this film is definitely that. But sometimes it's to the detriment of the story and the characters that they are putting on screen. This film is lightning fast, and that's really good. This movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it never feels that length. However, there is also a lot of plot in this movie, like 2 movies worth of plot in this film, and it makes everything just feel rushed as we're getting to the climax of the film. But that is my biggest problem with the film. There's also some sillier moments that feel kind of weird or out of place. Of course, bringing back the Emperor is like a very interesting thing to do, and I ultimately ended up liking it. And I mean, I love Ian McDiarmid. This guy is just over the top amazing when it comes to being the Emperor, and I really enjoyed that. But I can say that as the final entry in a trilogy and in a saga, it left me a little disappointed. But there are still enough moments in this film with Kylo Ren and Rey and others that are absolutely fantastic. It's what I wanted this film to be. It's what I wanted from this film, and it did a really good job of making me feel emotional, enjoying it, and feeling sad that this saga is over. For the time being. We're going to continue to get Star Wars films, but still, it's a bittersweet farewell to the trilogy and the saga. But also, I will say that this movie has more plot in it than Return of the Jedi, which people are going to get offended by that. But I love Return of the Jedi, but this movie has a lot more going on within it, which can be to the betterment or the detriment of the film overall. But I still thought that this was a really fun and enjoyable movie with some great moments, some lackluster moments, some awkward moments, but still a good film nonetheless. And I know a lot of people are saying, like, oh, look at the Rotten Tomatoes score with this movie. But also, if you look at Return of the Jedi and look at reviews that came out around the day, look this up, it would have gotten like a 30% from critics. So, I mean, take with it what you will, just try to enjoy it, have fun, and I know that's not going to please everybody. Everybody's going to have a different opinion, but I still enjoyed this film, guys. Also, here's this. If you guys didn't enjoy this movie, if this movie somehow captured the imagination of a child, then it did everything right. Because Star Wars is a saga, is a series of films that can be enjoyed by old fans and new fans, adults and children. And this trilogy isn't made for just me or somebody else older than me. It's made for a new generation. And I feel like they're going to be able to appreciate these films more than any of us could. That's all I got to say. So anyway, guys, with all that said, I'm going to give The Rise of Skywalker a 7 out of 10. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this review, and thank you for watching my year of Star Wars reviews. This has been a lot of fun doing. However, I still have one thing left to do. And since it's around Christmas time, it seems like the perfect time to talk about one of the most infamous things in all of Star Wars, the Star Wars Holiday Special. So look forward to that on Christmas Day, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.